Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at Sky Team, the 2-player co-op game of landing an airplane. And disclaimer that I was given a review copy of this at Gen Con. I had no idea what to expect with Sky Team, and now suddenly it's become a favorite at my household. Why is it so good? Let's find out and get to the list. So first, my number 5 point for the game, which is a bit of a mix for my taste, are the skill cards that are used in some scenarios. And basically they include these in the tougher scenarios to make it possible to win them, although I could totally see house ruling to put them into easier scenarios as a kind of handicap for newer players. And on the positive side, and honestly this mix is mostly positive, it kind of leans pro, they tend to have really interesting abilities, and almost all of them increase the interesting choices between the two players. So they take the already really fun tactical play of your dice and give you cool rewards for doing certain things in a certain way. So I really appreciate that. The only thing that maybe brings us to a mix, and again, I'm kind of leaning pro on this one, is that they don't have any handicap rules for how to use them officially in other scenarios. It's pretty easy to figure out. And technically you get to pick them before you do a scenario, so I can see people kind of using the same ones if they think they're a little bit better over and over again, so maybe a random choice would have been more interesting. But yeah, honestly, this is almost a pro. I enjoy these, and they add some nice variety to the play at the higher levels. My number 4 point, which is generally a pro for my taste, is the randomness in the game, because this is a dice placement game and you're using 4 dice every round. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes you can get bad rolls, and both low and high dice are very helpful in the game in different ways, so really the only truly bad rolls tend to be if you just get a whole bunch of low dice or a whole bunch of high ones and lose the options for kind of spreading your values out. But the game includes limited re-rolls you can use to deal with that. You can use actions to build up coffee that can then modify your dice up and down. A lot of the skills I already mentioned let you modify your rolls. And again, even a bunch of rolls around the same value can usually be used in clever ways to kind of mitigate their impact on your flight. But at the same time, if you hate randomness, this isn't necessarily going to fix it for you. You can still just roll badly on the final turn and potentially not have the tools to win. So it's a good thing for me. I like the variety, kind of forcing your choices to be different every game, but some people might not like it that much. Now, another thing that's a pro for me, but might not be for other people, is number 3, the limited communication in the game. Because you have your 4 dice behind your little tent of secrecy here, and the other player doesn't know which values you have, and you're not allowed to talk about it. You can communicate before the round starts, but once you're actually placing your dice, you got to be quiet. But what I like about the limited communication, and don't get me wrong, I tend to like limited communication in general, so this might just be kind of up my alley, is that, which dice you place where and when you place them still tells a lot to your partner. Like if you place a 2 on the engine right from the start, you are offering your partner full flexibility with all 4 of their dice to put whichever value they want in here to control the speed. So like kind of the order you do things and how you handle or don't handle things is going to send messages to your partner, and doing things earlier in the round will give them more flexibility with how they respond. So yes, I personally like the limited communication and how it kind of modifies the dice placement overall. Then getting to my number 2 point, this one is a big pro. I love this, and these are the modules and difficulties and scenarios in the game. There's so much content in this little game. You get so many airports, and each of them is double-sided to have a different difficulty variance, which will bring in different modules. And, some of them are longer or shorter on the approach. Some of them have more airplanes to worry about or fewer. In some, let me find it, in some you have to turn your plane the right way to dodge cliffs and mountains, trying not to crash into things. And yeah, these little difficulty modifiers are not just tacked onto the game, they have a great toy element, and they really do change up all your dice placement decisions. So yeah, this is a game that seems very simple and basic at first, and then just adds as much as you want it to add, and I love it. But hey, I saved the best and most important for last, and this is a big pro for my taste, and that's the actual dice placement and how you run the ship. So first of all, I just love this. The design of this and how you turn things on and how you're modifying your speed and all these things, and how clean the design is, how clear it is which die goes where and which values you're looking for. And here's the thing, you are doing basically the same thing every game. So there's going to be a potential negative for some people. Like every game, yes, I need to get my tires down. If I don't get my tires down, we crash. Every game, we need to open our flaps. We need to open them in a specific order. But first of all, besides the modules that I already talked about, the great thing is that the puzzle puzzle is always different. The results of the dice and the airport is always different. The limited communication adds a lot of tension in there to what could be a simple puzzle otherwise. So yeah, even with the same basic functionality, the same basic puzzle, even without adding the modules in, if you want to keep it pretty simple, I've never found even the basic scenario boring because the limited communication, the placement is consistently thematic, consistently fun. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm gushing. I just love pretty much everything about how this game works. So overall, you might like SkyTeam if you like tense two-player cooperative games, if you like dice placement in general, or challenging decisions where not all the information is clear. And you also might want to check it out if you like games that give you a ton of options. There's so much modularity here and variation in the scenarios. But on the other hand, you might want to avoid it if the idea of doing the same basic actions with your dice game to game seems boring to you, or if you don't play games two-player, or if you don't like limited communication. Although I've already seen some solo variants on BGG that look like they would work pretty well and cleanly for the system. So the game might have more legs for solo players than I think. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.